Hi guys, am I audible? Okay, all right. So yeah, we will be
Yes,
starting as usual by 10:05, right?
you are audible.
Guys, was Prashant's voice breaking for you all or just for me? Yeah. So Prashant, you have a network issue. Please check it.
Sir, currently I have a not issue, but I am stuck in some logics building.
Okay, all right. So you will be able to take the class or what?
So I'm able to take a class. Wait a minute.
Okay, all right. Good. Yeah, we will be starting by 10:05.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's start today's session, right? We are left with three problems in the RS assignment that we need to discuss, being facing the sun, right? Facing the sun, second largest array, second largest from the array, and angry professor, right? Yeah. So let's discuss them one by one. Any specific pick you guys want to be discussed first? Or rather, let's just go in order, right? Let's discuss facing the sun first, right? So let's try and start facing the sun. I tried to solve 2D arrays problem, but did logic for some question. Okay, Jyoti, we will be discussing them in the assignment. So please let me know if the portal is visible.
Yeah, it's really.
All right. Just a sec. Okay, so in facing the sun problem, where I'm standing when solving 2D arrays. Okay, यार देखो 2D array की प्रॉब्लम ना 2D array वाले सेक्शन में लेंगे अभी जो काम करने देखो. So, given an array H representing heights of the building, you have to count the buildings which will see the sunrise. Assume sun rises on the side of array starting point. Right? So we have two inputs, that is an integer n denoting size of array in line to n space separated integers denoting elements of array. Okay. So given constraints, okay, cool. Yeah. So we need to find out how many buildings will be able to see the sunrise, right? The given thing, one more given thing is that the sunrise will happen towards the starting index of the array. So what is the starting index of the array? The zero index, right? So for the array 7, 4, 8, 2, 1, 2, 9, sorry, 7, right? 7, 4, 8, 2, and 9. The sun will rise from the 7 side, right? This is where the sun rises. This is the sunrise point, right? So now these are the heights of the given building, right? 7 is the height, 4 is the height, 8 is the height, 2 and 9, so on. Now we need to find out, okay, so if sun rises from the starting index side, how many buildings will be able to see the sunrise, right? Got it? A problem description clear? Any doubts in the problem description? Okay. So let's like how many of you guys tried this problem, right? Were you able to solve it? None. Acha. Yes, tried, done. So okay, so let me just take 1 or 2 minutes to basically explain the gist of the problem, right? The catch here, right? And then let's discuss the solution also, right? So let's say we are given two inputs, right? We are given two inputs, n, that is array size, right? And the array itself, right? If I take the given example itself, it says 7, 4, 8, 2, 9, right? 7, 4, 8, 2, and 9, right? So what is happening? We have several buildings, right? Let's create a graph. Okay, let's create a graph like a structure. So let's keep it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. All right. So let's also have the values. Let's take some color. 7, right, 4, 8, 2, and 9. Right. So if I draw the heights, so 7 is having the height till this point, right? This is the 7, 4 here, 8, right? 2 and 9, right? So now the sun is rising from the left side, right? So let's create a sun, right? This is the sun, right? Now I need to find out how many buildings will be able to see the sunrise, right? So let's say what in this situation, let's assume the sunrays are coming in this direction, right? The parallel direction, or no, in the horizontal direction, right? Buildings are vertical, sunrays are horizontal. Now, how many of these buildings will be able to see the sunrise? Let's say, okay, the first building will surely be able to see it because it's the first one to face the sunrise, right? So I can say, okay, this one is this one is able to see the sunrise. Now you can see if this building has a height of 7, it will be blocking all the sunrays for the buildings that are smaller than 7, right? The current maximum height that we have will be blocking all the sun rays for the upcoming buildings which are smaller than that, right? So you can see all the sun rays till this point, right? Till this point, from 7 to 0 are blocked by the first building itself, right? So I can say 4 is smaller, so it won't receive any sort of sunrise, right? You can see now the new building 8 of height 8 is having a tip above the blocking range, right? So I can say this tip is getting sunrise. So yeah, it's also a valid answer, right? So yes, this one is getting a sunrise. Now, if this one is getting sunrise, this one is again blocking furthermore, right? Now, again, the new range is coming out to be 8 blocking range, right? So will 2 be able to see the sunrise? No, 2 won't be able to see the sunrise. Now, after 2, you can see the last height is of 9, right? So again, this has a tip above the current blocking range. So this will also get the sunrise. So we can generalize it ki we need to find the consistent maximum so far, right? Running maximum so far, and we have to check ki whether the current building we are standing at is greater than that maximum or not, right? Okay, let's also take one case of equality, right? Let's say there was another building of 8, right? After this 8, what will happen? You can see ki although these both these buildings are of same height, but the first building of height 8 is already blocking all the sun rays till the 8th level, right? So the second one won't be getting any sort of sunlight, right? So this is the problem description, right? And the algorithm we need to work with, right? Any doubts in this algorithm? Any doubts in this algorithm or approach, or we move to the code? No? So I hope portal is visible again, right? So let's quickly try and code it out, right? What do we need first is scanner. Now we need to figure out how many elements or how many buildings we have. So we will be taking int n is equals to sc dot next int, right? Again a for loop. Okay, so we need an array also, right? Int arr, it's an array of new int size n, or int I is equals to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus, right? If okay, so we need to have an if condition if arr at I is greater than the current maximum, right? Let's call it maxi, right? The current maximum. Only then please increment the answer plus plus, and at last simply do a system dot out dot print ln of answer, right? Now you can see there are two
Sir.
new variables that I have used. Yes.
सर ये तो एरे प्रिंट करने के लिए था ना फॉर लूप
प्रिंट थोड़ी करनी है
एरे प्रिंट करना नहीं है
नहीं
सर आपने एरे एरे लिया है ना एरे को
हाँ हाँ हमने एरे लिया ना अच्छा हमने एरे की इनपुट्स भी लेने थे राइट सॉरी
यस सर फॉर लूप सर
अच्छा थैंक यू ओके सो लेट्स टेक द एरे इनपुट्स आल्सो राइट इसी लूप में चला लेते हैं sc सॉरी arr at I is equals to sc dot next int, right? So we are also now reading the values. Okay, once we read that value, we are then like working upon it, checking okay, so the new value is greater or not, right? Now what I was saying is ki you can see I have two new variables, maxi and answer, that I haven't declared, so I need them also, right? So let's create the answer first. I hope answer is clear. Ki answer is the number of buildings that will be getting the sunrise, right? Apart from this, we need a maxi, right? Now what should be the maximum value of should be the starting value of this maxi? Right, what should be the starting value of this maxi? 0. Yes, we can take 0 also, right? Any value that is smaller than the possible range, right? Let's say the height is starting from 1, right? So any value smaller than this is a valid starting point, right? Whenever we find maximum, we start from the smallest, and whenever we are finding smallest, we start from the maximum, right? So it's a vice versa kind of situation, right? So maximum is done, everything is done, right? Let's have a quick look at the running code, right? Let's try and find out if there is any error. Okay, so we got a 3, right? Yes, why we got a 3? Because we also need to update the answer, right? Update the maxi. So maxi in this case becomes the arr at I, right? Let's again do this. Yes, we are getting output as 3, right? Let's try and submit it. Mehran, you are saying array element 0 at 0th index should be the starting point. Yes, it can be the starting point, but in that case, as per the algorithm, we also need to change the value of answer initially, right? We need to make it 1, right? But let's say what if the case is there is only one element and that is of height 0, right? In that case, the answer will break. So we can like easily handle it by keeping the maxi's initial value smaller than the range specified. Right? So yeah, guys, any doubts now in this problem facing the sun?
सर मैंने एक लिंक भेजा आपको चैट बॉक्स, ये वाला क्वेश्चन के लॉजिक समझना है।
सागर ऐसे चलती क्लास में कैसे बताऊं, बताओ?
यस सर।
चलती क्लास में बाकी को छोड़ के आपको क्वेश्चन समझाऊं?
नहीं सर, ऐसे नहीं, बस आज नॉर्मल एक लॉजिक बताना है, इसी का ही है असाइनमेंट का।
नहीं कोई बात नहीं, वो तो ठीक है, पर आप भी तो देखो सर, आप 20 क्लास में क्वेश्चन लिंक दे रहे हो, बाकी क्या करेंगे तब तक? तो लास्ट तक तो वेट करा करो, एटलीस्ट लास्ट में क्वेरी कर लिया करो, ठीक है? 20 क्लास में ऐसे डिस्टर्ब होता है, ठीक है?
ओके सर।
Okay, so let's move to the next problem, right? Let's move to the next problem. Okay, second largest element, let's take that one, right? So let's take second largest from array. Now, how many of you have solved this one, second largest from the array? Right. Right. So solved, stuck. Achha. Okay, so what approach did you guys used? Right, I am just writing the starter code that we write in every course. So int ARR that we need to make is equals to new int of size n, right? Let's take a for loop for int I is equals to 0, I is less than n plus, right? ARR at I is equals to sc dot text. Sorting use करें. I guess you sorted the array and just find out the n-2 index, right? Yes, that one works. But what is the time complexity? If you guys know a bit about time complexity, right? Is that the best solution that you can get? No, n square नहीं होती, n log n होती है, right? So for sorting, the time complexity, I guess you might have used the arrays dot sort, right? So आपने ये करा होगा arrays dot sort ARR, right? System dot out dot println, right? ARR at n-2, right? तो एक तो ये होता है, राइट? आई गेस इसको तो एक्सप्लेनेशन की इतनी जरूरत पड़ेगी नहीं, राइट? अगर कोई बच्चा है जिसको नहीं समझ आया तो मेरे को बताओ, मैं समझा देता हूँ, राइट? सो यस, द एलिमेंट इज गेटिंग, आई गेस पास होता है सारा कुछ. So all the test cases are passed, right? But if you see, it's not the ideal solution that we are like trying to do, right? Now it's your choice. Do you guys want to know another solution of this problem, or are you guys done with the right? Oh, it's okay with this one, right? Because the second solution is quite tricky and will require time to basically understand, right? Now this solution that you have done so far is of n log n, right? N log n complexity. Right, n log n is the time complexity of any sorting algorithm that is inbuilt, right? Now, if you want to do it in O of n, we will be requiring some sort of an optimization, and we will be requiring some sort of an analysis to do before we can like write the code. Now, how many of you guys are interested in knowing the O of n solution? Single iteration. Sandhya, how do you know about time complexity? Like later on the lecture in this module 1 only, when the time complexity lectures will be done in the main class, so then you will be getting an idea of how to calculate the complexity, right? But as of now, you can like generalize or remember key if there is a nested kind of situation, that is multiplicative, right? If they are at same level, that's addition, right? Sorting is done in n log and n complexity, right? So these are just terms and calculations. When you will be done with the time complexity lectures, you will be able to figure out, okay, so what is time complexity of my, right? I want to know optimized solution. Acha, all right, line 15. See, line 15 is the inbuilt function arrays dot sort. What it does is it takes the given array, right? In our case, the ARR that we created, and sorts it, right? And sort it. So let's say the array has 5 elements in any random order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what this function will be doing is it will be sorting it out into 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? In the increasing manner. Okay. Now, let's go to the notepad if you guys are interested in knowing the solution, right? Optimized solution. Okay. Now, this solution basically requires key. First thing is key n, that is size of the array. Right. The second is the array itself. Right. Let's take the simple array for now, right? Let's take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Now these are the elements. Let's just also shuffle it, right? So that it's easy for us. So 4, 4, 4, 1, 6, 5, 3, 2. Right? Or 2, 3, right? 3 elements, right? 6 elements. So n I can say is 6, right? So the elements in the array are also 6 elements, 1 to 6, but in the non-sorted order, right? Now we need to find out the second largest element, right? What is going to be the answer? Anyone? What is going to be the answer for this case? I can say it is going to be 5, right? Second largest element is 5. Now, if we just try and devise an algorithm, right? Problem description, I hope you guys are clear with, right? We need to find the second largest element, right? First approach that we did was using sorting, right? Sorting, we got an array in the form of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? So we were able to figure out, okay, so this is going to be the second largest element, that is n minus 2, right? Now, okay, so what if I was able to somehow keep a track in single iteration, right? In this, I was sorting it, but rather than sorting, what if I can like use the above, array only, that is 4, 1, 6, 5, 2, and 3, right? I can use this array only and figure out, okay, so what is going to be my second largest element. Now, how can I do that? I will be basically using a single iteration to do so. Now, while iterating, I will be keeping track of 2 elements, that is largest, right, and the second largest. So these are the 2 values that I need to consistently track. Okay, so I hope you guys will agree that finding the largest element in the array in single iteration is not a big deal, right? You can simply check whether the new element that you are looking at is greater than the previous maximum you found, right? So if that is the case, please update the largest, right? So finding largest, this one is easy, right? And this one is medium, right? How can we sort in decreasing order? Just sort it and reverse the order, right? That we discussed yesterday. Okay, so see, second largest element we can get using the help of largest element only. Now, how can I do that, right? So for this, I will require you guys to basically visualize these 3 points, right? So let's also just go a bit down, right? So let's divide these things into 3 cases. There can be 3 cases to solve this problem, right? First, second, and 3, right? So let's say I'm like basically drawing large bars, right? See bars. What does these bars means? I will be like telling you, right? Okay, see. Now given an array, right? See, in this order, right? In this side, this is the largest elements, right? amount of element or the number itself, right? It's basically the increasing order. Jitna ucha utna bada number, right? So for that's why you can see the largest is much higher than the second largest, right? I don't know what is the gap in between largest and second largest, but that's just a pictorial representation, right? Now you can say ki, okay, so let's say ki 4. Now initially I can say my largest and second largest will be having the smallest values possible, right? So let's just make some space for this one also, right? Now, as per what we discussed in the previous problems, let's keep the largest, right? Largest इसको भी छोटा लिखते हैं तो इसको first बना देते हैं ना, right? I can take the smallest values possible, right? So what should I ideally take to make these values smallest possible, right? Or the outside of the domain? Let's take the smallest integer value itself, right? I can take the int min, right? Int min, right? Integer minimum integer value that I can handle, right? So int min. Now, I also discussed key whenever we are finding for the largest element, we simply traverse the array, check whether the current element that I'm standing on is greater than the previous maximum. If so, please update the largest, right? Now, let's say key we are linearly iterating and somewhat we found these two values. We don't know what are these values. I'm just talking generally about the cases that can occur, right? So let's say key we had some largest and some second largest value. Now let's say key we are at 5, right? I'm just assuming the case. Now, this 5 might occur in these 3 regions, right? This is the first region, this is the second region, and this is the third region, right? Now, what does these regions define? See, this was the largest element, right? This bar at the top was the largest element. There is a possibility that now the element that I found is greater than the largest, right? So this is the new bar that I need to create, right? So अगर मेरा जो अभी तक largest number चल रहा था उससे भी मेरे को एक नया बड़ा number मिल गया तो क्या होगा? I should update this bar and make it my new largest, right? So I can rename it as first, right? Because I got a number that was greater than the largest currently that I had. Now, if this is the situation, what should happen is I should update my first as the new number, but before doing that, I should update the current largest that I had as the second number, right? Got it? Ye point clear hua? What did I just say? If I'm like keeping a track of the largest and the second largest number consistently, and now the new number that I am like trying to analyze is much greater than the largest value that I currently have. So in that case, don't you think now the largest number should be the new value and the second largest number should be the previous largest number, right? You can see in the order also. Now the significance of this bar is not valid for me anymore, right? Because I already found a combination of two values, right? I got a new value that I can say this is now the largest. But what was the largest value previously? That is now going to be the second largest, right? Got it? ये बात समझ आई? Right? Okay. इसी तरीके से now we can like have a look at the second situation, right? Now what is the second situation? The second situation is the largest number is still the largest number, but the new element that I am looking is in the range between the largest and the second largest that I had previously. Now, in this case, what should happen? Do I need to update the largest element, right? Do I need to update the largest element? I can say no. It is still going to stay the largest as it is, right? So it is still the first. Now, this is the new element that I got, right? This is the new element that I got. I can simply update this as my second largest, right? So now I can simply call this as the second largest. So you see, the second situation is also pretty clear. I can have a buffer in between the largest and the second largest. Let's say the largest value is 6 and the second largest value is so far that I had is 3. Now, what if the new element that I'm trying to analyze is 5? Now, 5 is in between 6 and 3, right? So let's say what I'm saying is 6, 5, and 3, right? Okay, so we will be, as I said, initially the values for the largest and the second largest should be the as minimum as possible, right? Because now we are trying to find the largest. So whenever we try to find largest, we initialize the values with the smallest possible, right? I will be explaining that in a minute. Just as of now, try to focus on these three situations that can occur in the code, right? All the doubts I will be entertaining afterwards, right? Currently, the main highlight is these three situations now. Okay, see, the new element that I'm trying to analyze is 5. So you can see his second largest was 3, largest was 6. Now it's 5 is in between 6 and 3. So shouldn't I update 5 as the second largest element? Logically, it is the correct thing, right? So now you can again see the significance of this bar is again of no use for me, right? Now, what is to be done in the third case? If you guys were able to understand the first and the second situation, third, I guess you already know if the new element is smaller than the second largest element itself, I need not to do anything, right? The first stays as it is, right? This is the first, and the second stays as it is because there is nothing in between the first or above, in between the first and second or above the first, right? So any element that is smaller than the current second largest is obviously smaller, right? So there is no point in storing that into the variables. Okay. Now, any doubts in these three situations, please let me know. क्योंकि अगर ये नहीं समझ आएगा तो आगे का build-up में confuse हो जाओगे, right? So do you guys have any doubts? Please write yes or no. Okay, the third case. Let's have a look at the example, right? I was saying the largest element is 6 and the second largest element is 3. Now, what is the other elements possible? Let's say this is the new element that I'm trying to analyze and it is 1. So does this makes any sense? I need to update any value? No, because 6 is still the largest and third is the 3 is the second largest itself, right? Already. 1 doesn't affect anything, right? 1 is 6, second is 5, third is 4. Yeah, ऐसे मतलब 3-4 तो कर सकते हो, पर अगर सेकंड लार्जेस्ट तुम्हें O of n में देखना तो ये 3 केसेस हो सकते हैं, राइट? अगर सिंगल आइटरेशन में देखना, right, Prashant? Now, if we are like good with these three situations, now let's try and figure out, okay, so what do we actually need to code, right? 3 कहानियां तो आपने सुना दी सर, पर इसको कोड कैसे करोगे? देखो. See, what we require is कि we initially created the array, right? Now I need to simply iterate over that array. Right. I simply need to iterate over that array. For iteration, I can use for int I is equals to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Right. A single for loop will do the job. Now, what I need to check is if the current element, that ARR at I, is greater than the first largest, right? Let's call it 1 for the first and 2 for the second, right? Let's call it 1. Is greater than the first largest, right? So which case is this one, right? Which case is this one? 1, 2, 3. Which case is this one? Case 1. Yes, correctly, it's case 1, right? So if it is case 1, what was happening? First I need to update my second, right? So 2, right? The second largest element is supposed to be the 1, right? The current one, right? And afterwards, I can simply increment 1 to the ARR at I, right? Got it? Any doubts in these two lines? I hope no, right? Now, what is the next part? Now, else, okay, else if the element is not greater than 1, if ARR at I is simply greater than the 2, right? Now, which case is this one? Case 2. Yes, correct. So you can see we are covering these two cases, right? So what should happen in this case? I need to simply increment 2 to the ARR at I, right? Now, do I need else in this part, right? Do I need to consider anything for the case 3? I hope I can say no, because you can see whenever I'm hitting the case 3, I'm like not really doing any sort of a computation, right? It's just passing over that element, right? So as I said yesterday, every if else block doesn't really require the else statement, right? If it's an unnecessary statement, we can skip it. So only these two cases were something where we needed to update the values. Okay. Now after this for loop, I can say according to my algorithm, the two values should be correct, right? The first and the second largest I will be having. I can simply do a system dot out print of 2, right? Now I hope this algorithm and this for loop is you guys are good with, right? The only issue you guys now can have is what should be the starting values, right? See, the starting values is something, it's a general trend that, or you can see whenever we are trying to find max, right? I will be writing a table key we are trying to find, and what do we set, right? If we try to find maximum, we set with minimum possible, right? If we are trying to find minimum, we set with the maximum possible. All right. So see, this is the thing. Now, in this case, I can say we are trying to find the maximum possible. So we should like initialize with the minimum value possible. What is the minimum value possible? I can say it's this thing, right? Integer, integer, right? Integer dot min value, right? Min underscore value. Integer dot min, right? Integer dot min value is the smallest value that we can like use to initialize, right? Isko capital min underscore value, right? And for the maximum, we can initialize it with integer dot max underscore value, right? Now, this is something in Java, and if anyone is interested in C++, this statement is written as int minimum or int min, and this one is written as int max, right? Int underscore max, int underscore min, correct? So any doubts in the solution now, right? Any doubts in this solution? You can see I'm not using any sort of sorting. I'm not using any sort of nested loops. I'm simply analyzing the solution using these three cases and generalizing the algorithm. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, as we have told, in order to find minimum, we have to set it to a maximum value. Okay.
Yes.
But
Yes.
here in our problem, we have to set two uh, fir- first maximum and second maximum.
Yes.
Sorry, first largest and second largest. In this case, we have to assign both of them with integer dot max value.
Integer dot, you see, in this case, you are trying to find the maximum value. So what will you do is you will be initializing with the minimum value, right? Minimum value से
Yes, yes,
initialize
yes.
करोगे दोनों को. So
Yes,
why
sir.
we are
So,
like trying to use minimum value? Just hear me out once. You see, I am trying to say ki okay, let's initialize ki I was initially showing you some gap, right? But I can also say ki this is the thing, right? Let's say the largest and the second largest are repeated values, that is 4 4, right? So we can also have this kind of situation where I can initialize them with the same value, so that doesn't breaks the algorithm, right? If you were able to understand these three concepts, right, these three diagrams, where the actual value can occur, right, what was the domain in which the values can occur, and accordingly what do we need to update, right? If this was clear, please like I would like to say try it once and you will be getting it, right, what is actually happening, right? Apart from this, any doubts do you guys have? Right, as I said, you can see I'm initializing both with int dot minimum string. सागर फिर वही बात, भाई रुक जा लास्ट तक, स्ट्रिंग कहाँ से आ गई यार? Sir, what if we write second if like AR at I is greater than 2 and AR at I is less than 1? See, in
Hello,
this, एक
हेलो सर
second. Yeah, Sagar.
सर कल के टेस्ट में स्ट्रिंग भी है, मतलब तो स्ट्रिंग एक्सप्लेन कर देते एक बार, थोड़ा सा समझ नहीं आया था सर, आदर्श सर का।
भाई एक बात बता, अभी एरे के क्वेश्चन करा रहा हूँ मैं पूरी क्लास को, स्ट्रिंग कराने के लिए मैं पूरी क्लास को वेले बैठा दूं?
सर स्ट्रिंग भी तो डाउट्स में है ना, क्योंकि कल टेस्ट भी है स्ट्रिंग का।
मेरे भाई
तो
डाउट्स में है, पर डाउट्स का एक तरीका होता है ना, मैंने बोला लास्ट में आ जाइए, लास्ट में करा दूंगा सारा, ठीक है?
ओके सर, ओके सर।
या गाइस, क्या कह रहा था मैं, भूल गया यार। Jyoti, I was answering to your like comment. See, in your case, you are like specifically specifying कि okay, don't take any repeated values. Let's say what if the array was, right? Array was 1, right? 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Now, what will be the second largest element be? It will be 5, right? In your algorithm, you are not allowing the repeated value, right? The largest will be 5, right? This one will be 5. Now, this 5 can contribute to the second largest element, right? But in your algorithm, you are not allowing that. You are like allowing only the unique values. Okay, so that's the change, right? Okay, so let's quickly jump into code, right, and see if my algorithm is correct. Okay, so yeah, I guess so far we like had all the inputs done, right? I only need int, let's say one for the first largest, right? integer integer dot min value, right? Int 2 is equals to int dot min underscore value, right? Now I need a for loop for int I is equals to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus, right? If ARR at I, that is the current element I'm standing at, is greater than the 1, right? Is greater than 1, please update 2 to 1 and please make 1 as ARR at I, right? Else if ARR at I is greater than 2, so just update 2 to the ARR at, right? Else don't do anything, simply print out the values at 2, right? If I try it, I hope variable class location integer dot minimum value.
Sir, in Java, it is integer dot minimum dot
अच्छा,
value.
हाँ, yes, yeah, right, got it. Thank you, buddy. Control V. Yeah, so I guess we are getting the right answer as 5, right? Okay, thank you guys. Let's try and submit it. Yes, all the test cases passed, right? So yes, this is the approach. This is the optimized approach. This one is running in much better time complexity of O of n rather than n log n, right? No sorting is being used in this approach, right? It's simple for loop algorithm. Okay. So are you guys able to understand what is happening in this? Any doubts, any sort of doubt in logic part, right?
सर
Yes, Naveen.
सर आपने जो 15 और 16 में int 1 इक्वल्स टू इंटीजर मिनिमम वैल्यू जो यूज किया है सर, उसके वो सर थोड़ा एलेबोरेट कर दीजिए सर। सर
अच्छा,
ये
देखो,
क्यों यूज कर दी सर?
ये इसलिए यूज करते हैं, मैंने आपको बताया ना। देखो, अगर आपको कोई मैक्सिमम वैल्यू यूज फाइंड करनी है तो आप उसको कैसे फाइंड करो? आप एक लूप लगाते हो, हर एलिमेंट के साथ चेक करते हो कि अच्छा जो नया एलिमेंट में देख रहा हूँ वो पिछले वाले से बड़ा है तो इसको नया मैक्सिमम बोलते हैं। ऐसे कर करके आप करते हो ना, राइट? तो ऐसे में अगर आपको मैक्सिमम देखना है तो आप हमेशा स्टार्टिंग वैल्यू ऐसी रखते हो कि जो सबसे छोटी हो, राइट? आपको पता है कि जब पहला एलिमेंट भी है, मान लो पहला एलिमेंट 0 आ रहा है, तो आपको स्टार्ट -1 से करना चाहिए, राइट? कि जब पहला वैल्यू भी है वो भी वैलिड कंट्रीब्यूटर बनेगा आपके आंसर के लिए, राइट? ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि आपने स्टार्टिंग वैल्यू कुछ भी रख दी, 5 रख दी, तो मान लो आपके एरे में वैल्यूज ही जो है वो 0 1 2 3 4 ही है, राइट? 5 है ही नहीं, तो मैक्सिमम अब जब आप देखोगे तो आंसर आना चाहिए था 4, पर आएगा वो 5, राइट? तो ये फर्क पड़ता है, ठीक है? लेट्स से आप कहोगे कि सर हम 0 भी तो रख सकते हैं, आप 0 रख सकते हो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं। लेट्स से कि आपकी उसमें वैल्यू 0 है ही नहीं, राइट? पर कुछ ऐसा करते हो जैसे कि 0 है ही नहीं, 0 है ही नहीं, वैल्यू सारी नेगेटिव है, राइट? लेट्स से कि -1 है, -2 है, -3 है, राइट? आपने आंसर ही इनिशियली 0 रखा है, तो 0 तो हमेशा नेगेटिव से बड़ा है, राइट? तो उससे क्या होगा कि आपका आंसर जो मैक्सिमम का आएगा लास्ट में वो 0 आएगा, पर 0 तो कभी आंसर आना नहीं चाहिए, वो तो एलिमेंट ही नहीं है आंसर। तो इसलिए हम क्या करते हैं, हमेशा एक सबसे छोटी वैल्यू पॉसिबल रखते हैं। मैंने आपको वो हर बार सिखाया कि कंस्ट्रेंट्स में देखो, कंस्ट्रेंट्स में जो सबसे छोटी वैल्यू है ना, उससे छोटा कुछ रखने की ट्राई करो। अगर आप बड़ा देखो, मैक्सिमम फाइंड करो, अगर आप मैक्सिमम फाइंड कर रहे हो तो जो सबसे बड़ा है उससे थोड़ा सा वो बड़ा रखो, राइट? मिनिमम फाइंड कर रहे हो, राइट? ताकि हर वैल्यू एक पॉसिबल कंट्रीब्यूशन बने from given array's minimum value. Jyoti, you can do that also, but I won't suggest to do that, because initially to find the minimum value, you will be requiring a for loop, right? Right. So in generally in coding, when we are like trying to find any sort of minimum and maximum, we set the values with these two given constant values, right? Integer dot minimum value and integer dot maximum value, because there is no chance ki there is integer can be smaller than this and maximum, right? So rather than finding some the minimum and maximum in the given array, we generalize it with this thing, right? Any minimum value of the like before the range of the array is a valid starting point, right? So why don't we take a constant that we already know, right? Rather than doing some competition and trying to find it out, we can like generally use it with the given constants, right? So this is one technique that we use. Okay, I hope it's clear now what are these
Sir.
initial values doing. Yes.
सर अगर डबल वैल्यू होगी तो फिर सर एलसिफ में जाएगी ही नहीं ना सर, कैसे जाएगी?
डबल वैल्यू होगी कैसे?
डबल एलिमेंट जैसे 4 और 4 आ गया तो सर एलसिफ में कैसे जाएगा 4?
अगर आप खुद
सर।
देखो ना, अगर 4 और 4 आ गया तो आपने ए पहले 4 के लिए तो 1 को अपडेट कर दिया ना।
हाँ 1 4 हो गया, तो अब अगले वाले में कैसे होगा?
अगला जो 4 होगा वो, मैंने यही तो देखो, अगला 4 जो होगा मैंने क्या देखा है कि पहले में अगर वो, अच्छा आपको ये पता है ना कि इफ एल्स एक के बाद एक चेक होते हैं, राइट? तो अगर कोई एलिमेंट 1 से बड़ा ही नहीं है, लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द सेकंड 4 दैट इज बीइंग अकरिंग, राइट? सो पहले से 1 4 है, अभी जो एलिमेंट है वो भी 4 आया, तो वो 4 4 से बड़ा नहीं है, तो पहला इफ केस तो चला ही, राइट? अगला एल्स इफ पे आया, उसने देखा कि अच्छा 2 तो कुछ और होगा ना, 2 तो 4 नहीं होगा,
2 तो
right?
सर 1 की वैल्यू तो 2 में जा रही है ना सर।
1 की वैल्यू 2 में तब जा रही है जो पुरानी 1 की वैल्यू थी।
अच्छा
समझे
जैसे
आप?
पहले 3 है तो 2 3 बन चुका है
हाँ,
ना?
2 अब 3 बन जाएगा, वो एक एक लेवल ऊपर चढ़ रहा है ना, एक साथ दोनों की वैल्यू नहीं बदल रहा,
ओके
ठीक है? हाँ, Avijit is like sending me the same answer. Okay, anybody has any doubts? Right, so we are not trying to update both the values same time, right? I'm like using the previous value of 1 जो पहले मेरा सबसे बड़ा था, अब वो second largest हो जाएगा ना, right? So that is what is happening in the if case. Okay, okay, so I guess let's move to the last problem for the day, angry professor, right? Before moving, any doubts?
सर इंटीजर डॉट मिनिमम वैल्यू से छोटी वैल्यू भी कोई होती है, मान लो जैसे लॉन्ग मिनिमम वैल्यू हो?
वो होती है पर उस डेटा टाइप के लिए होगी ना, हमें तो इंटीजर में काम करना है, तो इंटीजर के लिए इंटीजर का मिनिमम ले लो ना।
अगर टेस्ट केस में कोई इससे भी छोटी वैल्यू आ गई तो
नहीं आएगी, वो तुम्हें पहले दिख जाएगा कि इंटीजर हमेशा इंटीजर में ही चलेगा, राइट? ऐसा कुछ नहीं।
ठीक है।
जिस भी डेटा स्ट्रक्चर में काम कर रहे हो उस डेटा स्ट्रक्चर की मिनिमम वैल्यू ले लो ना, यहाँ पे इंटीजर की जगह लॉन्ग लिख लो, लॉन्ग आ जाएगा।
तो इससे पहले कौन सा क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हुआ? मैं देख रहा हूं।
सॉरी,
इससे पहले कोई क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हुआ क्या?
इससे पहले हमने फेसिंग द सन सॉल्व करा था,
ओके
तुम लेट आए।
हाँ लेट ज्वाइन हो, कोई नहीं सब हो रहा काम है।
See, so the last problem we have to discuss is कि angry professor, right? Okay. So ये हो गया डुप्लीकेट पेयर सम, ये आपने कहा था, सर ने करा दिया, एवरेज कैलकुलेटर भी हो जाएगा, सर्चिंग का नंबर भी सेम है, सेकंड लार्जेस्ट नंबर करना है। ठीक है, तो एंग्री प्रोफेसर. Okay. Now, how many of you were able to figure out some sort of solution for this? Right. And let's go through the problem description. One, a frustrated teacher is asking the students to make a line, right? Right, make a line, but he's not like trying. He hasn't described the increasing order or decreasing order, right? So the children chose to stand in any random order. Now we have to. Okay, acha, sorry. ये दूसरा क्वेश्चन है, मैंने पढ़ा नहीं. Okay, frustrated with their lack of discipline, the professor decides to cancel if fewer students than some number of students are present. Right, okay. When class starts, arrival time go from one time, arrival time is greater than less than 0 to arrived late. Okay. All right. So we need to figure out key will the class can't understand the question. Okay. So let me just move with it. A discrete mathematics professor has a class of students. Frustrated with their lack of discipline, the professor decides to cancel class if fewer than some number of students are present when class starts. Right. So एक गुस्से में एक टीचर है, वो क्लास कैंसिल कर देता है अगर बच्चे कम आए. ठीक है, यहाँ तक ये कह रहा है. Now arrival times go from on time, right? On time to agar arrival time is if they are at on the time of start of the class or before it, right? So that's a good thing. Or arrived late is anything after the student enters, like after start of the class if the student enters, right? Now we are given n elements and the start time, right? You can see we are given n elements or the n students that are coming and the start time along with their arrival times, right? So any then we have to figure out key. Okay, so k is the threshold number of the students that are required to basically start the class, right? अगर k number of students होंगे तभी class attend conduct होगी, नहीं होगी तो अगर बच्चे कम हुए तो नहीं करेगा teacher, right? So given the arrival time of each student and a threshold number of attendees determine if the class is cancelled, right? हमें बताना है class cancel होती है कि नहीं होती, right? So let's quickly go with this, right? Problem समझ आई? Mehran, did you understand the problem? Right. Okay, so I guess int ARR is equals to new int of size n, right? Or
this one.
int I is equals to 0, I is less than n, plus plus. Okay. ARR at I is equal to sc dot next int, right? Next step. Okay, so now I'm done with the creation of the data set, right? Or the data structure. Now let's basically एग्जाम्पल समझ नहीं आया. अच्छा एक बार कोड देखो, कोड के साथ ना मैं तुम्हें समझाते रहता हूँ क्या हो रहा है. सो हमें अराइवल टाइम दिया हुआ है, उसके साथ साथ ना हमें इनपुट में लेना है. इनपुट हमें कैसे लेनी है, राइट? तो फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ इनपुट कंटेन्स टी द टोटल नंबर ऑफ टेस्ट केसेस. अच्छा, each test case consists of 2 lines, right? The first line has 2 space separated integers int n and k. Okay, see.
इसमें क्वेश्चन के अंदर जो इनपुट आउटपुट दे रखा है वो उल्टा दे रहा है.
इसमें क्या
क्वेश्चन के अंदर जो इनपुट आउटपुट है ना,
हाँ
वो उल्टा दे रखा है जो ऊपर बताया उससे ये दिक्कत है.
अच्छा, मतलब रादर देन क्लास कैंसल्ड वी नीड टू टेल क्लास होती है कि नहीं होती.
हाँ.
ओके, राइट, ठीक है. तो एक सेकंड देखो. अच्छा, तो इसके बाद हम क्या करेंगे, बेसिकली हमें एक आंसर बनाना या हमें काउंट बनाना होगा, राइट? काउंट इज इनिशियली 0, राइट? वी नीड टू बेसिकली फिगर आउट की फॉर इंट I is equals to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus, right? So if ARR at I is less than or equal to 0, please increment the count because that student arrived according to the time, right? If C and T is greater than or equal to K, right? System dot ये print कराना होगा ना. system dot out dot println ln में हमें क्या print करना है? Yes, all caps. Yes, the class happened, right? Else system dot out dot println no, right? Now will this code work? Right, इतना समझ आया? What is happening is कि problem description says कि there are n number of people or n number of students that will be attending the class. Now array is given representing their arrival time. A student is on time or is before the class if it is less than or equal to 0, right? Now he is late if the arrival time is greater than 0. The student now professor will start the class. Sorry, okay. Achha, thank you. So this teacher will start the class only if the threshold number of students have arrived, right? Else he won't. So we only need to figure out whether the class will be executed or not, right? Now I can say कि ये algorithm समझने में किसी को दिक्कत नहीं आई होगी, right? इसमें एक चीज जो tricky है वो है test cases वाला, right? Test cases वाला concept. Now as of now what I'm asking is कि in this blue highlighted area, any doubts you guys have? Any doubts you guys have? Any line number specific? No. Okay. So test cases वाला part समझ आया था? Test cases वाला part क्या है? If you like have a look at the first line of input contains t test cases, right? So what is it saying? It's a general trend in online coding platforms. So this is just giving you a taste कि online learning platforms पे क्या क्या होता है, right? We take an int t, initialize it with 0, or let's take it direct into sc dot next int, right? So you can see I'm taking t test cases. Now I can simply write this while t minus minus is greater than 0. ये क्या हो गया? T minus minus is greater than 0. So in this case, what will happen is this while loop will execute only t times. Okay, I hope this is the correct. Now what is happening कि उन्होंने हमें बोला कि ये हर टेस्ट केस को चलाने के अंदर हमारे को t टेस्ट केसेस चलाने, right? So this is how we like handle this thing कि we take the inputs and t, we basically write t minus minus, right? And only execute this if it is greater than or equal to 1, right? Greater than or equal to 1. If it becomes a 0, we simply don't execute it. Okay, so that basically means कि t times हमारा count होगा, right? So let's take the inputs. Let's try and run it.
वही मैं कह रहा हूँ उल्टा प्रिंट हो रहा है सैंपल आउटपुट।
सर क्लास कैंसिल होगी तो यस है वो प्रिंट करना।
हाँ वो कंडीशन सही दे रखी है बट इसमें सैंपल आउटपुट गलत दे रखा है।
मेरा आउटपुट सही है ना?
हाँ सही है बट आप उल्टा करोगे तो ही सही चलेगा, नहीं टेस्ट केस फेल हो जाएगा।
मैंने समझा नहीं कैसे करें। सबमिट अभी नहीं चलेगा। 3 के 3 बैच। ठीक। So yeah, so I guess
yes को no को yes बस।
ये पता नहीं क्या हिसाब है। ठीक है। तो इस complexity yes no आ गया, चलो ठीक है, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it, right? Algorithm हो गई है, right? So any doubts in this problem now? Anybody? So line 11 not clear. Line 11. Acha. See what is I'm writing is key while t minus minus. So test case statement. So t minus. Okay. You guys are able to understand, right? Line number 10, right? What I'm writing in line number 9 is key. Okay. So you know about this decrement operator, right? Minus minus. You know about it, right? Yes. So I'm just writing a one-liner, right? It is basically equal to, see, if t is equal to 0, and after every test case execution, please decrement t, right? T minus. So this is basically I was doing in the single line, right? Now what is happening is we need to like run t test cases in a single test case, right? You can see if I submit, there are 3 test cases, but in these 3 test cases, each test case to pass has internally passed t number of test cases, right? So test cases को confuse मत हो. For test case 1, this test case 1 will internally having several test cases. Now, what is the count of those test cases? That is t. So that's why we are first taking the input t and running the algorithm that we devised t times, so that every test case inside the test case 1 is handled, right? So it's kind of nested test casing scenario, right? This is pretty common pattern if you have a look at Codeforces, CodeChef, right? Many online coding platforms use this kind of pattern where they have inbuilt several test cases merged into a single test case unit, right? So in this problem, you can see there are no 10 test cases, there are just 3 test cases, but in these 3 test cases, there can be n number of test cases, okay, internally. So what we do is we write the algorithm for just one test case individually. We wrap it around with a while loop that runs t times. Okay.
सर एक आउटर फॉर लूप भी लगता है ना, मस्त थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्स हो जाएगा.
कॉम्प्लेक्स क्यों करना है? समझा नहीं मैं आपकी बात. Oh, you can use while loop, you can use for loop. It's all up to you, right? I basically tend to write it with while loop, right? इसको ज्यादातर ऐसे ही while से ही लिखते हैं, while t minus minus करके लिखते हैं. So this is the general pattern that I'm like showing, because most of the codes that you will be seeing on the coding platforms will be using a while loop rather than a for loop. ठीक है, तो ऐसे देखना जरूरी है, राइट? बाकी कोड तो तुम जैसे मर्जी लिखो, वो तो तुम्हारे पे, तुम कैसे हैंडल करते हो, बट तुम्हें पता होना चाहिए कि इंडस्ट्री में स्टैंडर्डली क्या चलता है. ठीक है. So I guess we are done with the 3 problems. Now anybody has any doubts can like tell me. Right. So yeah, there was that guy with strings and like several questions. Where is he? Sagar. Yes, Sagar, please tell us
Yes,
what
sir.
are your doubts. Yes. भाई एक बात है कि जब क्लास चल रही हो ना, तो एकदम रैंडम डाउट मत लाया करो. क्लास खत्म हो जाए, मैं ऑब्वियसली तुम्हारे डाउट्स लिख लूंगा, मैं भाग नहीं रहा, पर
ओके सर.
बीच में मत बोलो अगर ये फ्लो टूटता है. ठीक है.
ओके सर. सर के ये सब एरे सम डिविजिबल बाय के, इस क्वेश्चन का लॉजिक समझ में नहीं आ रहा सर मुझे. मैंने ऑनलाइन जो डाउट्स चलते हैं वैसे उन पे पूछा था, तो सर ने सही एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पाए थे.
आपने मेरा रिकॉर्डेड सेशन अटेंड, मतलब सेशन अटेंड करा था या रिकॉर्डिंग देखी?
सर मैंने परसों 6 तारीख का सेशन अटेंड नहीं किया था.
क्यों?
और 10 तारीख को कराया था क्या सर ये?
मेरे को नहीं याद, पर मैंने सेशन में कराया है, कल ही कराया शायद.
सर नहीं, कल तो मैंने फुल अटेंड किया, परसों भी.
तो फिर यहाँ पे कोई बता पाएगा? कल ही हुआ है ना सम डिविजिबल बाय के, सब आ रहे सम डिविजिबल क्वेश्चन तो कल ही लिया है, कल ही हुआ. तो कल तुमने मतलब क्लास में देखा नहीं?
नहीं सर, मैंने कल पूरा सेशन अटेंड किया है.
कल सेशन में भाई एक सेकंड, या प्रशांत कैन यू जस्ट कंफर्म कि कल ही हुआ है ना वो कोड सब एरे वाला? कल ही सारा मैंने समझाया था.
ये सर कल ही हुआ था.
हाँ सागर भाई, अब आप क्या, अब कौन किसको सच्चा किसको झूठा माने?
सर वो पता नहीं, शायद मैंने मिस कर दिया बीच में.
भाई
थोड़ा-
चलती क्लास 1 घंटे की क्लास है, तुम कैसे मिस कर सकते हो, वो भी इतना
नहीं सर,
बड़ा कॉन्सेप्ट.
बीच में नेटवर्क इशू हो गया था ना, तो क्या पता उस टाइम पे नहीं किया हो.
सर कोई बात नहीं, आप एक काम करो, उसके लिए रिकॉर्डिंग देखो. मैं जेन्युइनली बता
ठीक
रहा
है,
हूँ, मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ,
ओके.
पर उसमें 15-20 मिनट जाएंगे. ठीक है. रिकॉर्डिंग में
सर.
मैंने उसको जेन्युइनली सारा एक एक चीज स्टेप बाय स्टेप करके दिखाई है, तो वो देख लो एक बार. ठीक है.
ओके सर, बस मुझे पता नहीं था कि अगर आपने करा दिया है तो ठीक है सर, मैं देख लूंगा.
ठीक है. और कोई और क्या डाउट्स था भाई?
सर कल के टेस्ट में स्ट्रिंग आएगी,
हाँ.
तो स्ट्रिंग्स में थोड़े प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, मतलब सही से समझ में नहीं आया।
स्ट्रिंग के प्रॉब्लम्स तो यार एज सच तो मैं नहीं बता पाऊंगा। स्ट्रिंग में तुम्हारे को एकदम से इतना हार्ड तो नहीं देंगे, कुछ नॉर्मल इजी सा ही देंगे, ठीक है।
ओके सर।
हाँ, तो उसमें ज्यादा लोड मतलब जो मेजर फोकस रहेगा वो एरेज पे रहेगा और तुम्हारी इफ-एल्स पे रहेगा, ठीक है। स्ट्रिंग्स में इतना ज्यादा नहीं आएगा, अगर आएगा भी और अदर सर का तुमने सही से सुना है तो हो जाएगा, इशू नहीं आना चाहिए।
सर स्ट्रिंग आएगा कल पक्का? क्योंकि मैंने कल आदर्श सर की क्लास अटेंड करी थी तो उन्होंने कहा था नहीं आएगा, लेकिन मैंने आज सुबह की नहीं करी तो मुझे पता नहीं है।
यार मेरे को नहीं आइडिया क्या आता है टेस्ट में क्या नहीं, तो मेरा उससे ना
हाँ,
इतना वो है नहीं आइडिया मेरे को,
ठीक
ठीक
है
है।
सर, मैं किसी और से पूछ लूंगा।
एक सेकंड में तो बता देता हूँ, अगर मैं चेक कर लेता हूँ।
सर टॉपिक्स तो बताए ना मैम ने कि क्या क्या आएंगे टेस्ट में।
हाँ वो तो मैंने देखा था, डिस्कॉर्ड पे लिखे हुए हैं सारे। लेकिन आदर्श सर ने कल रात को बोला था कि नहीं आएगा, और सुबह की मैंने क्लास अटेंड करी नहीं है, इसलिए मुझे पता नहीं है।
नहीं सर ने तो आज ऐसा कुछ बताया नहीं कि टेस्ट के बारे में, बस उन्होंने बोला है कि टेस्ट को देख लेना कल।
ठीक है।
ट्राई कर लो एक बार, टेस्ट को दे लो, पता लग जाएगा कहाँ तक देखो।
हाँ वो तो है।
So, yeah, guys. So, any doubts in the problems that we discussed, right? Apart from कल का टेस्ट में क्या आएगा? Next. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. In that case, if you guys don't have any doubts, you are free to leave, right? If anybody has any doubts, I will be staying here for a couple of minutes, right, to just have some conversations. You can ask out or you can leave, right? Class is done by my side. Now, if you guys have any sort of feedback कि क्लास में कुछ चेंज करना है या कुछ चीज समझ नहीं आ रही, कोई तरीका बदलना है, तो कुछ वो भी बता सकते हैं। आई एम ओपन टू ऑल द फीडबैक्स।
नो सर, ऑल गुड।
पढ़ाया समझ आ रहा है?
यस सर।
Right. So yes, that is right. So yeah, we will be having like several feedback sessions right after every class. If you guys feel any sort of thing that is bugging you guys, so you can just let me know, right? ऐसा नहीं हो कि तुम लोग चुपचाप बैठे हो, तुम्हें समझ नहीं आ रहा, क्योंकि डाउट क्लास तुम्हारे लिए तुम मेरे को बताओगे तभी चीज चेंज होगी, मेरे को नहीं पता होगा चेंज नहीं होगी, राइट? सो दैट इज वन थिंग। ओके, सो आदर्श सर की क्लास कैसी चल रही है, वो सही है?
यस सर, सही चल रही है।
ठीक है, आदर्श सर में समझ आता है ना?
यस सर, हाँ क्लियर समझ में आता है अभी।
सर थोड़ा स्पीड ही रहते हैं वो।
हाँ वही है ना कि उनको यार उनको टॉपिक्स कवर कराने, मेरे को क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कराने, राइट? जनरली जो मेरे भी डाउट सेशंस होते थे वो 2 घंटे के होते थे, राइट? अभी तुम सिर्फ कोड देख रहे हो, राइट? मैं जनरली जैसे कराता हूँ, मैं तुम्हें पूरा पिक्टोरियल रिप्रेजेंटेशन के साथ कराता हूँ, राइट? बट ड्यू टू टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट ऑफ 1 आवर, उसके कारण जल्दी जल्दी करना पड़ा, राइट?
हाँ तो सर
वैसे
डेली
वो सर
डाउट
बढ़िया पढ़ा रहे हैं।
डाउट
क्या कह
सेशन
रहे
तो
हो?
1.5 मतलब 1.5 घंटा ही चलता है लगभग डेली का।
हाँ मतलब वही कैप करने की कोशिश करते हैं कि 1 घंटे में ही हो जाए, राइट? राइट, क्योंकि तुम्हें भी अगर 4 घंटे सीधा बैठा देना, तुम्हें भी कुछ समझ नहीं आएगा चौथे घंटे में, तो
हाँ
तुम
सर,
भी आराम से बैठ जाओगे।
आदर्श सर की 3 घंटे की क्लास थी।
हाँ, तो वही पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं है ना कि 4 घंटे तुम जेन्युइनली उतनी एंथू के साथ पढ़ पाओ, नहीं हो पाएगा भाई, कोडिंग में तो नहीं हो पाएगा, राइट? सो नवीन इज आस्किंग सर आप डेली इसी टाइम डाउट सेशन लेते हो? यार डेली तो नहीं होता, लाइक वीकेंड्स पे ऑफ होता है, राइट? बट आज एक्स्ट्रा क्लास की जरूरत थी, आरएस कंप्लीट करानी थी तुम्हारी, तो ये हो गया। बट होगी इसी टाइम भाई, 10 बजे ही होगी, इससे पहले नहीं, ठीक है? So yeah, guys, I guess that's pretty much it from my side. I will be seeing you guys on Monday, right? Kal, all the best for your test. Do let me know how the test went, right? Any doubts you guys will be having, we may discuss it. Okay.
सर कल तो
So
कोई
all the
डाउट
best
क्लासेस नहीं
from.
होगी ना?
नहीं, कल कुछ नहीं होगा भाई।
कल टेस्ट है।
Yes. Okay. So yeah, class is done. I will be ending the session, right? All right, guys.